Dzień dobry. I w ten oto sposób witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie w terenowym studiu Scena Tańca AOIA. Dziś kolejny wywiad. Zdaje się, że dobijamy do 10 w naszych spotkaniach, w rozmowach i związkach z tańcem. Dzisiaj wyjątkowe spotkanie, wyjątkowe dlatego, że spotyka się dzisiaj dwóch powsłańców, wojowników, pokojowych wojowników, gdyż naszym gościem dzisiaj jest Tomasz, pochodzący z Francji. Będziemy rozmawiać o kung fu, tym czym się zajmuje, ale w związkach sztuk walki oczywiście z tańcem, bo to jest niezaprzeczalnie, nieodwołalnie nasze podstawowe pole naszych zainteresowań i temat naszych wywiadów. Dajcie znać, czy jesteście z nami. Oczywiście będziemy wdzięczni za informację, czy dobrze nas słychać, czy widać. Cały czas pogoda testuje nas nieustannie. Oczywiście jak najbardziej możecie się włączyć w rozmowę. Jeśli pojawią się Wam jakieś pytania, dajcie znać. So that was the small introduction. Welcome, Thomas, to our beautiful nature studio. I just said about the idea that always we're meeting here with our guests and trying to find some connections with the dance, but actually this is like a huge question what dance actually is. And even if we talk about different area of the movement or different area of the life, we can perceive it also like a dance. Like we start our conversation with this nasty rat in my bungalow who's challenging me and making a really big dance in my head. Mm-hmm. So I would like to ask you about briefly introducing yourself. I mean, introducing, it's more about like to saying and to sharing with us about your interest, about the movement. I know that you are practicing and training Kung Fu, but maybe something more about that, and maybe there is much more about idea of the movement.
So, good question. Let's say that through my martial art background, I've discovered a way of moving which is intended towards fighting. It's like it's not just moving for the sake of moving, but more for going for the eyes, going for the groin, striking, doing this kind of.
So it's really about the targets.
Yes. That's how it started with my karate background, but then as I discovered Kung Fu, it turned out to be more of a dance. Like we started doing the routines and the very slow Tai Chi like routines as well, where even though it's about striking and hurting, it's very slow, it's very soft, it's very meditative, and it's a sort of like step-by-step dance that you just repeat over and over, which is different every time in a way. Like it's the same steps, but there's always something different, always a different focus.
But actually that we can say, I don't know how it is from your experience, but I noticed that we can see this kind of option after some practice. Mm-hmm. That I remember when I was starting, I had a feeling that I'm repeating the form, the same form, and questioning myself why I'm doing the same, like I would like to do something new, because I want to learn more. And actually, after some of the practice, you realize that there is not option for repeating the movement in the same, exactly the same possibility. I mean, it's like opening the doors with starting to telling you that you see more and more details, you're going more and more deep, and you perceive aspects about the movement, about the breath, about the strength, about the presence, about the senses. This is already for me some kind of dance. So it gives me another question. Maybe it's an interesting trope to go there. How you feel when it starts, like in this perception, like perceiving the movement, the kung fu as a dance, and in the moment when you realize that you are not repeating, you are like going more and more deep in practice. Do you remember that moment?
When it stops becoming being just a set of move, but it becomes something else. Like it becomes. This it also rings a bell with what we just said before, where for me the real work, the real practice starts once you know the routine, once you're comfortable and you don't have to think about what's the next move, you know, and that it's like quite comfortably within your body, and you can do it without thinking about it too much, and then you can think about the breath, then you can focus on the stretch, focus on the accuracy, with the proper hand positions, and that's when like it starts, and it takes years. Then you know it's a work of practice, and every time you improve, you make a little mistake here and there, and you teach yourself, you kind of correct yourself. And, regarding the dance, yeah, you become better at dancing, you become better at that specific dance you're trying to do, and you also change it. You also kind of like add a little bit of your character and a bit of yourself in it.
Some spices.
So it's never the same. It took me maybe a year or so half a year to a year of practice, to intense practice, to really forget about it.
How long to practice this movement?
So it's about
10
years. It's about 10 years, and the kung fu, the intensive way of training, 3 years now, where every morning when I'm at the camp, it's just doing the same routines, like just the same things over and over every morning. Different sets, different things, weapons, free hands, qigong, meditation. But still, like it's that same routine that comes in, and every time is different. Every day, my mood is different, the weather is different, the people around me are different, and that changes the dance and the practice.
That brings me another question about being involved in something. You already said like 10 years. It's like really finding some kind of strength and energy in yourself to put that energy day after day through years. So my question is, because usually when we do routine, it's about repeating, and in some point then can bring this kind of thoughts that it starts to be boring because I've got the feeling that it's the same. But after a while, it's like a big moment when you like do another step, like on let's say another level maybe of understanding that, it's appearing that actually it's not the same. You've got the feeling that you found something new or going more into the details. So it's still about how you finding the way to deal with your mind. It's telling you that, come on, it's boring, you did it, you know that. Let's do something new, let's have fun. How is with that moment to recognizing it? Like how it's like to investing more and more your time, your energy to go farther and farther through years, and how it's changing, how it's developing. Because this is really interesting that after actually using the routine, we can dig deeper and deeper and opening more and more like doors to seeing from actually the same point, because I'm in the point of the routine which is not changing, but everything is changed, also with my mind.
We say that the mind and the body is very much interlinked, and that by working on the body you work on the mind, and by working on the mind you work on the body as well. So at first it's a very physical kind of thing. You learn the steps, you learn the movements, and you learn a way of learning as well. Like you kind of turn a switch in your head to be able to coordinate left and right, and synchronization of movements, flexibility. All of this applies then to the mind, and then you go into those moments where you tell yourself, what am I doing here? Why am I here again, doing the exact same thing again? Yeah. And there's all of this chatter of the mind that can be a challenge here. That can be from time to time I feel like I need a little break from it. I need like a kind of a breather for me to find again the motivation to do it, because after a while, after maybe 4 or 5 months of intense training, then I'm like, okay, I feel quite exhausted mentally and physically, and taking some weeks off, taking a month or two off of the training, I found that gives me back the motivation to go in even deeper. And,
but it gives you motivation going back. It's because you already feel lack of something.
It's funny because when you're there and you have it, you feel like, oh, it'd be nice not to have it, you know. And then when you don't have it, you're like, oh, it'd be nice to have it again. So it's that duality of wanting what you don't have and not being satisfied. Maybe. I mean, it's a work, it's life's work, and it teaches you more than just.
But it sounds like to be addicted. So you mean like it's possible that routine makes us addicted? I know how that works.
It conditions us, yes. Conditioning, definitely. Yeah. Sort of a repeating pattern that you ingrain into yourself. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's see then. Okay, so we know how it works, like step by step from the very beginning, like when you start. There is some kind of stages that we can call. Put the name on the stages, like you said, right now. But how are you finding this? Like when you are in the moment, like not after a few months, because it's like I really noticed that, and also it is like from my experience and from my observations that first year, whatever you do, it's always like awesome. It's awesome, but it's also like a question if we will do it more. If you will continue that after this year, probably it's for you. If you will not, and you take a break, it's quite big option for that you will not buy, because you are not conditioned it already so much. But my question is, after years, 5, 7, number is actually, it doesn't matter. How are you finding this energy to continue that?
Yes. It's a drive that. It's deep inside me. I think it was my call. It was the force that pushed me towards martial arts at first. And
what was it?
That interest, that maybe the discipline, the strength that it gives you, the strength of character, the strength of body, the contact, I guess as well. It's quite important. How to connect with other people that are likewise. And just those movies, you know, those Jean-Claude Van Damme, like kicking asses the whole day. And
for me, it was Bruce Lee.
I had an older brother, and watching those videos, we fight afterwards, and sometimes fight each other. But yeah, there's that idea of being drawn towards it. I'm not sure if I can explain this very well, but it's there. I don't think I can lose it. And the more I practice, the deeper I go, and the wider the spectrum opens, you know, and the less I feel that I know, and the more I feel like I need to practice, because there's so much that I don't know that I can discover. And I think the aspect of teaching as well, the aspect of sharing the knowledge, and having students teaching you as well things, and growing through that relationship is also quite profound. It's also I think the way to really deeply understand something. If you cannot explain something complicated with simple words, then you don't understand it. So it's a good practice. Yeah, I go back to it very very often, and I'm motivated, happy to do it. And for now, at least, I don't know about the future. future. But I feel like I still have to learn. It's still something that bothers me and calls me.
But tell me, in that case that we said that it's like continuous path, like taking these steps, like going into this some kind of shallow moments of the fate that for what I'm doing it, but you're finding this energy, this curiosity to do it more and more. You think is it possible to, or maybe where is the moment when you can be a master in doing something?
I think it's when somebody else calls you master.
You think it's enough?
And they say 20 years of practice, 25 years of
Who said that?
the old masters.
The old masters.
The Kung Fu gurus.
Okay.
Yeah. And grandmaster, you become a grandmaster when you have fathered a master. When one of your students has become a master, that's when you become.
But you mean like receiving degrees?
Yeah, it's like it's nothing official. It's nothing that's
Yeah.
in the books, and you don't really get a degree. But it's widely.
Because most of the people connect it with the color of the belt. But I love the expression from Bruce Lee that belt is only for this to keep your pants on the right place.
That's right. It's just an official, widely accepted dogma where after years of practice you have this title of master without having to pass a test, without having to prove something. But usually those people, they have like schools, they have students, they have like they have a lineage of martial arts passed on to them, and they're working actively to pass on that lineage as well. So it's like it's when most of your life is dedicated to training and to passing it to other people that you become a master.
Do you feel like you are a master?
No.
Is it your goal? In the case of putting these small goals from the beginning, because you are not in the beginning, you are 10 years later, do you still see this kind of
I don't feel
necessary?
that it's my drive. I don't feel that's something that I really care so much about. I mean, I like the idea of the old white-haired man with a long beard and
I started already.
the fancy dress and kicking asses, flying up in the air.
Yeah.
I'd like to be like that when I'm old. Yeah, I'd like to be flexible and strong and healthy and happy. Definitely. But I'm not chasing that specifically. I'm not. Maybe it maybe it won't come.
They said that if you're not chasing the goal will reach you anyway. This is the time to ask the question about the dance. I mean, from my perspective, Kung Fu actually is a dance. If we go to the meaning of the word Kung Fu, that it's being all the time on the way to find the perfection, with the idea that maybe you will never reach the perfection. So I would like to ask you about the dance, and especially about contact improvisation, because we met here on the Contact Dance Festival, which were a long time ago, like, I don't know, some ages ago. We already here on this island,
Different times.
more or less 90 days. Hi. So I find the
Hi
information.
Marta.
Hi Marta. Marta said that she's not hearing us well, so maybe we come a little bit closer.
Maybe we start again from the beginning.
From the beginning. Actually, yeah. So
Can you hear us, Marta?
please let us know if it's better now. That's I think all what we can do for that moment. But we're trying to our best to directing the voice over here. Maybe it helped. So just to summarize, we had like some kind of first chapter of the conversation, which was really about the martial art, about the Kung Fu, about the way of learning, about exchanging exchanging point from the learning to teaching to learning more, and the way about finding the trigger for ourselves to still find the energy. It's better now, all right. Finding the energy to continue. And I just ask the question to Thomas, which is, I feel like it's like other chapter of the interview, but everything is so connected, about contact improvisation, because we've met here after it's now, but we met here on a contact dance festival. So for me, contact improvisation.
You're louder now.
Okay. Okay. Yes. For me, Kung Fu and actually all of the martial arts is also contact improvisation, because there is a lot of idea about the contact, but in a different goal of contact. Every hit, every contact, physical contact in martial arts is a contact improvisation, but with, let's say, different intention of the meeting. But physically, there is a lot common background, and dealing with the gravity, with the center. I found a lot of knowledge connected with that. That's actually my way of the teaching and learning in the same time, like using the knowledge from the martial arts to finding the way how we can use it in the contact improvisation. How did you found the contact improvisation, and actually why?
So it started not long ago. Actually, it started about 6 months ago, where I had the need for stepping out of that structure that I had. I had a need of more of a stop being told what I need to do, or how I need to move, and exactly how I should breathe, and etc. And I had a need for more freedom in the movement, and I found it through a first ecstatic dance where I would go, and dancing the kung fu, kicking, punching as I dance, and mixing dance and fighting.
How was it on a jam? I mean, I imagine the people around you were trying to find a way of the dance, and you are using your vocabulary of the movement from Kung Fu around.
Yeah, I never asked them how that felt. So
did you hit someone?
No, never. I've always been mindful about that. And I mean, there's people doing yoga, people doing other kind of practice in the ecstatic dance frame. So I don't think nobody judged. Maybe people were surprised or maybe interested or curious, but I never had any wrong feedback from it. Sometimes I find somebody that I can fight with during the dances. Like Ageliki, my partner, she was the one I would fight with a lot at the beginning. And that led
That's
to
the language of love.
Yes, yeah, I guess so.
In that time.
And that led to contact, because then I discovered that the touch, I would connect with some people because I would go regularly to dance, and some of them would already be familiar with contact dance, and I would dance with them. And straight away it felt like I knew it. I knew that. I've always been doing it in the martial art, in the kung fu, the way of feeling the other person and being in contact and listening and playing with it. And
you mean like for the sticky hands?
Yeah, the sticky hands, the pushing hands.
Actually, you have a time to be in a contact.
Yes.
Because usually we perceive martial arts like it's like punch or block, attack. So it's like this kind of contact. But in the sticky hands, actually, there is the idea, a lot of the contact involves.
Yes. You don't have you have maybe a plan, you have an idea where you want to go, but something happens and you have to adapt, and so it really resonates with contact dance. And you can just touch, it doesn't have to be. I mean, the more you practice martial arts, the more control you gain over what you can do, and you can actually touch softly and slowly somebody, and it's more about rolling and not stopping and finding a flow through the attacks. all the defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that applies straight away to contact dance, where you have somebody, you go one way, the person follows, maybe you lift, and you find your grounding, you find your stance, you find your core connection, and all this was there already. So I think I was good at it from the beginning, or I was kind of natural at it, thanks to the martial art. Thanks to the grounding, the strength you can have as well when you want to carry people. It's fairly natural and resonating with contact and martial art, the two together.
I agree. I've got the same experience, because that was also like I came to contact improvisation from the martial arts background. Especially with the idea of the center, playing with the center, with the sense of grounding. But I would like to ask you about the very first moment, because you said that you start from the ecstatic dance, and at some point the contact improvisation appeared. I remember my first time with the contact improvisation, where my body was already skilled to react on the impulse. So all of the impulse, like touch and contact, was like exactly. So it was really challenging for me in that time, like to go into finding the softness and like stretching a time in the moment of contact, like with staying with the touch, like letting the space to understand where it goes. So it was challenging for me, but I must say, this is like confession right now, it was also challenging for the partners which I danced. How was the very first time for the contact improvisation for you?
I feel that my background is a bit different because of the pushing hands and the sticky hands that I would practice a lot, and I would practice with beginners as well. So, and if I kick beginners' asses, it's not fun for them, and it's not really a learning experience. So I was quite used to going easy and controlling what I do and being soft. That the first time, I think I probably had my hands out like this, and I was probably ready to. I was touching like this, keeping my distance. Hey, what are you doing there? What's this?
Where's your center? Where's your legs?
What is this? Huh?
What do you got?
Wanna come? Yeah. There was maybe a little bit of a fight there, but I think it was Yera. He was doing okay. He was with the guy actually the first time I did it. And maybe it was a pushing hand, maybe it was a sticky hand mixed with dance. But I'm quite a chill person in general. I'm quite soft, so there was no like reflex that would kick in. I mean, I can come and protect somewhere and like and try to go for places, but very softly and very slow, with the eyes.
There is I remember one more challenge. I would like to also ask you about that, because in the martial arts there is like a huge part of the knowledge is really about the connection with the ground, with the gravity, with the sense of like being stable, like with the construction, grounded. And in contact improvisation there is a lot of space for the flowing, floating, like exchanging who is the structure, who is the player. Do you remember the moments when someone wants you to lift and how was the reflection of your body?
Yeah. I'm very often the base. I'm very often more naturally grounded, and I don't like not to be grounded.
You see?
It's
I found it.
It's something that goes against my reflexes and my I guess my teaching, my learnings of like being rooted. So I would very often divert the force. Like if somebody wants to lift me up, okay, you want to lift me up, you just go out. Like
try again.
Yeah, try again. Come here, come there. Until I slowly discovered, okay, I can just lead, I can just go a little bit, because I'm quite a big guy, I'm quite heavy, so I know that it's not everybody that can.
It's just a state of mind, the weight, you know.
That's right. But Yeah, there's a little bit of fear there of losing ground and
How you connect this fear? With what?
fear of falling, possibly.
But we are very much skilled in the martial arts to fall. You know?
Yeah. Maybe I should do more of that. Maybe I should practice more falling because it's not something that I'm.
Maybe we'll do
comfortable
some
with.
practice because also Żenia asked me about this.
Falling. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Take
can
downs
play with
and-
fallings and padzierżki in Russian, which is like partnerings.
Yeah, maybe.
But do you like contact improvisation? I will not ask you if you like martial arts. It's for me, it's like it's not the right word even.
I enjoy it. It's strange because I feel like we had so much of it during those 10 days plus a little bit after.
You mean on the festival?
Yeah, during the festival, and that I feel like the need that I had for freedom is fulfilled, and now I want my structure back.
Yeah.
I want my steps back, and I don't feel drawn to it as much as before. Even dancing, I find my time being occupied with woodworking right now, carpentry, and I find my kung fu within the sanding, within the chopping, within the cutting, and working with the material.
It's also like a dance,
It's also a dance, definitely.
especially for the mind.
I find myself, if I cut and I'm like, oh wait a second, where's the center? Oh, okay, here, let's cut like this now. It's a lot easier. I find that, yeah, definitely through this. So different interests now. I'm just going to another different direction, but I guess it's still there. It's still here. We're doing contact now. You know? It doesn't have to be labeled or
Yeah.
being like, okay, here, right there, you're going to do contact. I guess it can be just a daily event, something that happens, maybe brief with the person, maybe not with the physical contact, maybe emotional or psychological contact, yeah.
I've got a last question. We was traveling and let's say dancing through the martial arts, through our backgrounds, through kung fu, from ecstatic dance in your case, and contact improvisation. Now, playing with the materials, with wood, it's still kind of dance. How you feel? What is the way to find a dance in usual daily things which you do? It can be like everything which you do, and even toothbrushing or something which is routine, and to stop thinking about it, this is routine and maybe it's like I got enough of it. Finding a dance in the way like this is like part of my life and giving me something really nourishing me.
For me, it's spirals.
Spirals.
Flow, curves, finding the link with one movement to the next one without breaking the flow, the pattern. So it can be as you walk, it can be as you cook, you steer, as you brush your teeth, as you work the wood. It's about enjoying those movements. It's about enjoying the waves, enjoying the pattern of it, and finding beauty with the movements.
I feel it like a water. That what we hear over there, these noises, it's not like something bad, that's technical problems. It's not technical problems, it's the nature. So, like Bruce Lee said, be water, my friends. Be water in your daily life. Thank you, Thomas, for this. Thank you for accepting the invitation and finding with me this beautiful studio. So that's it for today. We got other plans for today, and we don't want to let ourselves here on a plate for the mosquitoes.
No.
So thank you. Chusteczka. See you. Let us know how was it. Maybe some questions. I can pass it to Thomas. Maybe he agreed to answer.